The full story of Lot in the Bible. Lot was the son of Haran, Abraham's brother. When Haran died young, Lot came under the care and influence of his uncle, Abraham. When God called Abraham to leave Ur of the Chaldeans and journey to the land he would show him, Lot went along. From the beginning, Lot shared in Abraham's journey of faith, traveling with him through Haran and into Canaan. As time passed, God blessed both Abraham and Lot with flocks, herds, and servants. They grew so wealthy that the land could not support them living close together. Their herdsmen quarreled often. To avoid conflict, Abraham, who valued peace, suggested they separate. He gave Lot the choice of where to settle. Lot's choice. Lot looked around and saw the lush Jordan Valley, well-watered and fertile, like the garden of the Lord. Genesis 13:10. Though the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah in that valley were known for their wickedness, Lot chose to pitch his tents near Sodom. Abraham remained in Canaan, where God renewed his covenant promises with him. Lot's choice seemed wise for wealth, but spiritually it led him closer to danger. Lot taken captive. Sometime later, a coalition of kings waged war against Sodom and Gomorrah. The cities were defeated, and Lot, living in Sodom by then, was carried away with his possessions. When Abraham heard, he gathered 318 trained men and pursued the invaders as far as Dan. With God's help, Abraham defeated them and brought Lot and all the captives back. This was the first time Lot was delivered from danger, though he returned to live in Sodom. God's warning. Years later, the Lord revealed to Abraham his plan to judge Sodom and Gomorrah because their sin was very grievous. Abraham, knowing Lot lived there, pleaded with God on the people's behalf. Would you sweep away the righteous with the wicked? Abraham asked God to spare the city if 50 righteous were found, then 45, 40, 30, 20, and finally 10. God agreed, but even 10 righteous people could not be found in Sodom. The angels visit Lot. 2 angels came to Sodom at evening. Lot sat at the city gate by then, a position of influence. Seeing them, he bowed low and insisted they stay at his house. At first, they said they would spend the night in the square, but Lot pressed them strongly until they agreed. That night, the men of Sodom, young and old, surrounded Lot's house. They demanded that Lot bring the visitors out so they could abuse them. Lot went outside and pleaded with them not to act so wickedly. In desperation, he even offered his 2 daughters to protect his guests, showing both his sense of duty to strangers and the moral compromise he had absorbed living in Sodom. The mob pressed hard against him, but the angels pulled Lot inside and struck the men with blindness, so they groped helplessly out the door. The call to escape. The angels told Lot that the city would be destroyed. They urged him to gather his family. Lot went to his sons-in-law, who had pledged to marry his daughters, and warned them, "Up, get out of this place, for the Lord will destroy the city." But they thought he was joking and refused to leave. At dawn, the angels urged Lot again to hurry with his wife and 2 daughters. Lot hesitated, reluctant to leave. Out of God's mercy, the angels seized their hands and led them out of the city. Once outside, they warned, "Escape for your life. Do not look back or stop anywhere in the plain. Escape to the mountains, or you will be swept away." Lot pleaded that he could not survive in the mountains and begged to flee to a small town nearby. The angels granted his request and spared the little town of Zoar. The destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. Then the Lord rained down burning sulfur on Sodom and Gomorrah from the heavens. The cities, the plain, the people, and all the vegetation were utterly destroyed. As Lot and his family fled, his wife looked back longingly toward Sodom. She disobeyed the command and was turned into a pillar of salt. From a distance, Abraham later looked down and saw smoke rising from the land like the smoke of a furnace. God remembered Abraham and rescued Lot from the destruction. But the cities were no more. Lot and his daughters. Afterward, Lot left Zoar in fear and went to live in a cave with his 2 daughters. Believing there were no men left on earth for them to marry, the daughters conspired. On successive nights, they got Lot drunk and slept with him without his knowledge. Both conceived sons. The elder bore Moab, ancestor of the Moabites. The younger bore Ben-Ammi, ancestor of the Ammonites. These nations later became neighbors and frequent enemies of Israel. Themes and lessons. Choices matter. Lot chose fertile land near Sodom, valuing wealth over spiritual safety. His choice shaped his destiny. God's mercy. Though Sodom was destroyed, God rescued Lot for Abraham's sake, showing his patience and kindness. The danger of compromise. Living near sin drew Lot deeper into it, until even his moral judgment was clouded. Judgment and salvation. The destruction of Sodom is a warning of God's justice, while Lot's rescue foreshadows how God saves the righteous from judgment.